December in Lincoln city centre is always busy as people come from miles around to do their Christmas shopping, but a group of people are often overlooked. Although some may associate buskers with beggars and look down on them, most know nothing about these performers who provide an unnoticed soundtrack to our shopping experience. I want to know what motivates these performers to stand out in all sorts of weather just to earn a few quid from people that know nothing about them. Phil, nice to meet you.
And you.
Thank you for doing this interview.
My pleasure.
I went to talk to Phil Gray, a well-known busker around Lincoln, who can often be seen playing up and down the high street. What sort of got you into busking?
When I was a student, I got involved with one or two groups or musical ventures. I started learning to play the guitar when I was about 14, started to teach myself actually, and got interested in songwriting, I suppose, mainly because of the Dylan influence. And so kind of a couple of years ago I thought, well, I've got to do this, something I really wanted to do, and that's really what inspired me to go ahead.
So when you busk, do you busk like for money, like in particular, or do you just come out with like, I just want to, sing songs?
I think that if you don't enjoy singing songs and entertaining the public in that way, then you're not going to get very much money.
Yeah.
I do like the financial reward. In fact, I'm able, if I perform well, to earn enough money to sort of.
So you do make quite a bit of money busking.
You can make you can make a fair amount of money. It's not the kind of income that I would make as a teacher or anything, but it's work that I enjoy.
Have there only been any consequences to you busking in Lincoln? Like, have there been any problems, like either with like people or police, or even people who recognise you in the street?
I have had trouble from one or two kind of passers-by, and it's no secret because it actually ended up in the local paper that my hat was stolen.
Yeah.
And they caught the guy that did it, and he got 7 weeks in prison for it. But that's not really what I wanted. But to be honest, in the main, my experience here on the street has been very positive.
Speaking with Phil gave me a really positive outlook on busking. But I bumped into Andy, who has taken the leap and turned busking into a career. How long have you been busking for?
Full time I've been doing it for about 2.5 years now, but I've been doing it on and off since I was about 18, I suppose, was the first time I had to go.
Does that mean that like you use the money you get off busking do you live off it, or do you have another job? Or?
No, I don't only busk, I do a few gigs here and there as well, but I'd say probably at the moment at least 90% of the money I make is just from playing on the street.
We saw earlier a guy came and gave you like a £5 note.
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot?
It doesn't happen that often.
It
doesn't happen that often, no.
Is it hard living on that, like the money that you get from busking, or would you say it's easily affordable, or would you say that it's quite difficult to live off that?
I think it takes a certain kind of person to be able to sort of feel okay doing it, because there isn't the same security. You can't plan to have a certain amount of money by a certain date.
Do you play like all year round then? Obviously, if you've got to sort of pay to provide for yourself, do you stand out here in the snow?
Yeah, I've been up in the snow in the Castle Square last year.
Christ, I bet that gets so cold.
It does get pretty cold, but you sort of get used to it, to be honest. I prefer playing when it's a bit cold than if it's really hot.
Yeah.
If it's really hot, it's actually horrible.
Do you not ever sit there and think, why am I doing this? Like, I'm out in the worst weather.
Sometimes, yeah.
Bacon, why am I sitting here?
Sometimes, I guess, yeah, but only as much, I'd say, as any job. When you've been doing it a while, it loses its sort of, the honeymoon period only lasts a certain amount of time.
It shocked me to find someone who relied on busking so much, especially someone as talented as Andy. I arranged to meet with another busker, a friend of Andy's called Zeph, who was playing a gig the following evening with his newly formed band. As he was in a band, I was interested to know why he busks aside from doing gigs.
The very first time I did busking was, it was Christmas, and we were absolutely skint. Two of us, we just did a few Beatles songs, and my girlfriend was sort of walking about with a hat, and literally I was amazed at how much, because I was always scared of it, absolutely petrified.
Yeah.
But you don't realise that as soon as you go out there and do it, people are more scared of you. I think they're more scared of the fact that they don't want you to pull them out. They don't want you to ask them for money. Because my girlfriend sort of was just like shoving hats, underneath people's feet. And we made about, I think it was like 120 quid in 2 hours, and we thought it was amazing. And then when you really realise what the full ethics behind busking and what it should really be about, probably felt quite guilty about that afterwards.
Have you had any bad experiences busking?
We did get told off once. I remember, God, it probably wasn't long after we did that Christmas busking actually. Somebody came up to us and said, how dare you be busking? We were really ranting at us for it. And we didn't even really, we didn't have a lot of teeth, that probably would have been a problem. But like, we really couldn't understand what he was ranting at. And we in the end, we got it out of him that we were busking near somebody who was begging. You shouldn't do that.
Well, it might be a spoonful of coffee, might be a spoonful of tea. Yeah, a little spoon of your precious love, it's good enough for me.
Let's put it this way: if I was homeless and I was sat on the street, obviously, hopefully, I would have the opportunity of being able to play, and I would have my guitar. Hopefully, but let's say that I've got nothing. If I could even possibly get hold of a book, I would read a book out. And then that way, it is busking. You can look at it from many angles, can't you, really,
Would you say that busking gives you a better sort of income than being in a band and playing gigs does?
Oh, yeah.
So why not busk all the time instead of
Good point.
just do band?
If you go out and pretend to be somebody else, you can be paid a fortune. You go out and do what you want to do and be yourself creatively, you don't get anything.
No.
You very rarely get anything. But I do busking because I work 2 days a week, and I literally will play most of the day. On my days off, I will sit and play guitar all day. And I started to think to myself, well, I may as well go and sit and play guitar to myself on the street. And if I get, even after 5 hours, if I get 2 quid, well, it's still £2. It doesn't matter. I could sit at home on my own, behind closed doors, playing away. But whereas if I go and do it on the street, you get people come and talk to you, and they will say, oh, that sounds great, I really enjoyed that, or what was that you were playing? You get an opinion.
So you do it more for the inspiration,
Absolutely.
as well as just for the satisfaction of going out and playing for people.
Yeah.
Some of you even crying about it. Everybody's fighting for the spoonful. Oh, that spoonful.
I no longer see buskers as people asking for money, but as performers who have their own story to tell. From Phil and Zeph, who simply play to entertain strangers, thriving off the satisfaction of people enjoying their music, to Andy, an incredibly skilled musician who uses his talents to survive. It amazes me the courage and determination these performers have to stand out in all sorts of weather just to try and add something to the lives of strangers.